We welcome you to our employment training session today. We are happy to have Monica and Chris, like Raul mentioned. And I would like to speak to you a little bit about both of them. So I will start with Monica since she is our first presenter. Monica Gomez is responsible for driving sustainable growth of the Cisco Networking Academy in the states of Florida, Tennessee, Alabama, and Missouri, as well as responsible for education projects at Hispanic communities. So thank you, Monica, for joining us. And Chris will be our second speaker, the second half of our presentation. And Chris is a senior recruiter at Cisco with over 10 years of technical sourcing and recruiting experience. Chris has been with Cisco almost 5 years and supports the customer experience organization under SVP Aurelio Barrios. Thank you, Chris, for joining us as well. And Raul will start setting up your presentation. And while he's doing that, Monica, would you like to tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Thank you so much. Thanks to both of you for organizing this event. And I'm pretty sure that Chris is as happy as I am to be part of it. So I have a very large background in terms of having done very different things along my life, right? So if you go to my LinkedIn profile, you will see a bunch of different things that I have done during years. But since 2007, I jumped into Cisco, and I have basically been virtual since there, a virtual worker, right? So this COVID has put everybody to the same situation that I have been for the last 13 years. So as I was mentioning at the very beginning, no? So this new normal for a lot of people is my normal since so long. Having said this, do you want me to pass? Do you want me to get the ball, Raul, or are you going to be passing the slides? Awesome. So during all these years, what I have learned is that Cisco Networking Academy is the largest CSR, that stands for Corporate Social Responsibility Program at Cisco. And what we basically do is, since so long already, 23 years, we have been helping any kind of educational institution, government, and foundations and communities out there in more than 180 countries around the world to address the best resources in terms of learning and teaching that we could provide to create the global problem solvers out there that were going to be needed for this 21st century. Here you have in this slide just 5 of the more than 2.3 million stories behind every single one of our students right now. So it has been huge. Imagine it started 23 years just with 30 students in a college in San Jose. And from there, we have, as I said, 2.3 million stories behind, you know? And in some cases, it looks like it cannot be done. So let's just point out, for instance, Luigi Celeste. This gentleman, at 23, charged with manslaughter by protecting mother and brother from his father's abuse. So he was in jail. He was in jail when he started joining Cisco Networking Academy. He decided that all those years that he had to be in jail, he was going to spend them trying to become a professional that once released from prison would allow him to have a second chance. And he did it. And in fact, he was the first CCNA in a prison, for instance. There are other stories, as you can see here. Rebecca, for instance, from New Mexico, no? She's a single mother with 5-year-old daughter. And she enrolled in Cisco Networking Academy courses through a technical school, earned her CCNA and CCNP. These are the associate and professional level respective at Cisco certifications. And currently she's a senior network engineer. So by this, what I want to say, so there's nothing impossible at any time in life, no? And at the end of the day, we as human beings need to invest in ourselves in order to try to gain as much knowledge and skills as we can to provide ourselves the best opportunities that we may have and figure out how to embrace them along our life, no? So this is somehow a very rapid summary of what we have done, no? During all these 23 years, up to the day of today, more than 15,000 institutions across the world have joined us. Of course, as you can imagine, and I know that we have people here representing veterans. So in the States, particularly, we are providing resources for education for the veterans, for the cyber patriots, for the Navy, the Marines, and the Army as well. So we're very close to these groups of professionals. More than 27,000 instructors are teaching our courses to more than, again, 2.3 million students now. But since inception, we're counting more than 11 million already. And it's something very interesting, which is almost 3 out of 4, or almost 75% of them got a job opportunity. And this is our main goal. It is not just providing resources, but really delineating a good pathway to get engaged in the market the best way you can, no? Our in-kind contributions are in all of the resources that we are providing to the entire community. So why Cisco for Education? Well, perhaps you all be with me under the idea that we basically are what we know what to do. No, for me, the verb doing is the most mandatory one in the life of any human being. No, it's not what do I know, but what do I do? And I need to know, of course, to do things, right? But we have to put our hands on the education if we really want to become reliable professionals, no matter in which activity we are developing ourselves. So basically, we wouldn't have achieved all of these just by ourselves. So that would have been just an impossible dream. So you need partners. In this case, we have institutions that at the same time that they are academies, in most of the cases, they also help us support other academies, or they help us to train instructors across the world. The academies themselves, no, they have the instructors, they have the students, facilities. And finally, we need to engage with the employers. So 3 years ago, we developed this talent bridge. That is another of the several resources that we provide to our students and instructors in order to engage with labor market opportunities that are offered by Cisco partners and Cisco itself, all right? Already, so what is Cisco Networking Academy? What do we provide? Which are these resources? So basically, these are a supportive ecosystem. So that means that we provide courses at no cost. They are completely free, as well as the platform itself, our LMS, our learning management system. You can go and see at netacad.com. You will see the link at the end of this presentation. Again, we are supporting academies through these more than 670 support and training partners. Our courses, most of them are aligned to certifications. And there's something very interesting that is another plus that we have added just in the last couple or 3 months, which are the digital badges, now that are starting to be recognized by the industry. We connect to job programs, as I told you, and we have, of course, global communities across the social media and NetAcad itself to connect students between them, to keep connected with the alumni, and to connect and create networks of instructors. All right, we deliver this platform in a global way. So this platform is scalable, is cloud-based. We have courses in several languages. I have created this weekend for you guys all our self-control courses in English and both in English and Spanish. So you can, I think that Raul is going to share with you or later on today or tomorrow or in a couple of days, the link to the landing page that it's being created now in their Insert website. So you will be able to go there to enroll by yourself and to do those courses. You can even share that website with any of your fellows, counterparts, contacts. So everybody's welcome to get trained in this sense. All right, and what are we focusing on? So our courses basically are quite intuitive, if you want. We want them to be easily to navigate. Some of them, they need instructors, but some others can be done by yourself. And the most important here is they are created in a way that will really approach you to what is really going on out there. I mean, the examples that you will find in those courses are examples coming directly from the market, from what is really going on. If we're talking about cybersecurity, the examples will drive you through problems that are being faced right now at this moment regarding cybersecurity, as well as if we talk about IoT, you will be quite connected to examples that are related to smart cities, just to put an example. Okay, so our courses are driven in 7 different areas. Networking was our natural field where we started long ago. But then, of course, talking about networking and not talking about security or cybersecurity doesn't make sense. Networks nowadays are less dependent on hardware, and there's a programming component that it's starting to be absolutely relevant. This concept of intent-based networks means that what before it was done by human beings having to go to the server and, you know, switch off, switch on a specific cable, nowadays it's done by a program. So there's a lot of artificial intelligence, a lot of logarithms. So networks have started to automatize some of the processes that are behind in terms of balance them. And of course, this cloud computing world, it's nowadays opening an immense world related to programming. And then there's IoT. You have been, for sure, lately in the last 10, 15 years, surrounded of more and more devices that are connected to internet, even in your homes. So this is another open world we had to embed into our portfolio, as well as operative systems and IT in general, business and digital literacy. So, and now we're going to this is another view of our learning portfolio, just to let you know that I have created all those courses that you see in the triangle, with the triangle next to it. Those are the ones that you will have available for you. So you can enroll them at any time, you can do them at your own pace, and you can take any time that you need with no problem. So there are some explore courses. These are the, let's say, the shortest ones in terms of time, the easiest ones, because are the ones that you just jump into those areas of knowledge, and then you can move on to career courses if you are willing to go in depth in any of these areas. And I think I have, well, this is the course learning and career pathways. So sometimes it's, oh, wow, if I get into networks, that means that I cannot get into cybersecurity. No, that doesn't mean that. So all of these areas of the technologies are definitely connected between them. So, and I wanted just to let you see that you can even get started in the world of programming and then jump into the area of cybersecurity, or jump into the area of the networks, or jump into the IT, or even into business itself, right? So that technologies are like a tree. They have a root, the basics, but from there you can, there's a lot of branches opening to the 360 degrees. Next, please. So I think I have 1 or 2 more minutes. So my most, perhaps this is the slide in which I wanted to address to you my best comments of the day, no? The less institutional ones, but the ones that perhaps will make you think a little more. Under my perspective, it's who am I, no? And it's not talking about Monica, but you should address this question perhaps to each of you yourselves, no? I definitely am Monica, and I always say in the last years that my last name has become resilient. This is what it is. We have to be absolutely flexible in this 21st century. My life is nothing related to my parents' lives, to my grandparents' lives, or to my grandparents that I met, by the way. So they basically did the same during all their lives. They just figured out to do something specifically, and they didn't almost change nothing in all their lives. And I have been changing my my skills and my knowledge, and I have to be so flexible. So this would be my best comment here. Now we could say, oh, we are in risk. We have some threats out there. Yes, but the threats sometimes bring also opportunities. So look at which are the opportunities. How can you convert your weaknesses into strengths? No, at some point. What drives your passions in life? For me, that's key. So in what, when you spend time on that activity, you just lose completely the sense of the time. If this happens to you in something, that means that you thrive doing that. So keep on going, try to investigate a little more, try to know more about that, and just enjoy it and go for it. Don't do anything that you don't want to do. And if you're doing something that you don't really like, just start, investigating and connecting with people that it's doing something that you would like to be doing, and know more about that activity. I would say, which are your interests? They may vary. During all your life, you can be interested in something today that you weren't 10 years ago, or vice versa. So we, again, have to be very active in ourselves, no? Which are our values? That's the other point here. What is the most important for you? Which is your moral, your ethics, which are your principles in life, no? And just dedicate your life to thrive through them. Which are your goals? Again, as your interests, they might vary. So, and which are your needs? Do you have children that are dependent on you? They are not, you don't have them, or you have elders that are, so it depends on when in your life you will need to address yourself in a different way. And regarding the goals, you may have short-term, mid-term, and long-term goals. And these are very different. So at some point, sometimes it's, okay, right now. And if someone would tell me, Monica, you're going to lose your job, in a year or so. So unless you spend part of your time now in the short term to try to figure out how you're going to make it in a mid or long term, you're going to be done. So sometimes you have to be with your ears very open and to be very in touch with yourself and with what is surrounding you in order to take decisions that perhaps mean that you're going to invest some of your time nowadays to assure yourself in the future. So this was basically what I wanted just to expose you. I think that we're open. We're going to, after Chris's presentation, we're going to open here a discussion, conversation, or answering your questions. So thank you so much for taking your time, being here, and listening to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. Chris, it is your turn. If you would like to share with our audience a little bit about yourself while Raul is queuing up your presentation.
So I've been a recruiter for about 10 years. I've been with Cisco for pushing 5 now. So most recently, one of my peers and close friends now has moved on to a different position, and I've stepped into her spot and started supporting the one of the pieces of our military hiring at Cisco. So my presentation is going to be briefly on a couple of the programs that we offer, and more specifically, the program that I support because I know everything about that one. So yeah, so the slide that was on the first one there just had our little medal there. For 2021, we were just recently voted the #3 company for military hiring. So we're pretty proud of that. The programs that we do, it's not like we have any kind of boxes that we check or we do it for any kind of extra credit or tax things. For us, it's just, we'll dive into that, but the motivation behind it is for the caliber candidate that we're finding from these groups, and then the awards just seem to come along with that. So 4 different channels that we have within Cisco. We have several of them, but for these 4, as far as opportunities go for veterans, on the sales side, we have a program called MISSLE. That's an acronym for one of the sales groups, and the other option is direct hire. So direct hire would be you turn in your resume, you interview, we offer you a position. And that first position from the sales side is VSAM or VSS, Virtual Sales Specialist. So it would be for somebody that has a dedicated call list and a set of accounts, and we train you on the products, and you just kind of go hunt down and chase the sales. The second one from customer experience, that's my group. There's the CTIP program, which is the Veterans Talent Incubation Program, or direct hire. Again, 2 different avenues you can use to come in. My program is going to train you and get you more technical, and you'll come in through a network engineer position. And we're also recently starting to pilot a way for project managers to come in as well. Next ones, from an operations standpoint in people and communities, same thing, they're direct hires. So you would go to the Cisco Career Board. And of course, from the veteran side of things, we have other advertisings and things like that and referrals that would get you a little bit more attention. And then we have a rotational program on the ops side. And from the people and communities, it'd be a business analyst or a business partner. And again, early in career kind of position for a lot of them. There are some more senior ones, depending what you did, from the veteran side, if you were in HR or handled that stuff. But a lot of the stuff we focus on is going to be transitioning folks and early in career people. So Cisco Talent Incubation Program, you're going to see a bunch of stuff with the word TIP. TIP just means Talent Incubation Program. That is a secret word for it's unpaid. Don't let it scare you. It's the reward at the end is very good. But the VTIP is the Veteran Talent Incubation Program. We also have a couple other different programs as well that are, talent incubation programs where they're self-paced learning. And the whole objective of that course is to obtain some sort of certification or degree, and from there, job opportunities come. So program snapshot, this is what the CTIP program looks like that I have started supporting. We've been doing this since 2017. We run 2 cohorts per year. We do the recruiting in January and July. That is what we call crazy time. We go to the military bases. We do stuff online. Obviously, nowadays, we don't get to go to bases. We do everything virtually, and we host a WebEx, and people dial in, and we get veterans from all over the country and other programs as well. So it's not just the veterans. It'll be military spouses, people looking to change careers. Some call out numbers for that for us, 89% are still in CX, that's customer experience. That's where the technical folks go. That's a huge number. When we look at early and grade positions and how, traditionally somebody, you get in and then another company offers you a couple $1,000 raise, people are jumping ship for the money. For us, it's all about retention. It's all about loyalty. And these folks that come through this program see the initial investment that we put in them and the roadmap at Cisco. If you want to make your own career, we have so many different options. I think that's why a lot of these folks are still in CX. And I think even out of that number, just because they're not in CX doesn't mean they're gone from Cisco. It's a company, we call it one company, many careers. So a lot of folks get in and you can kind of end up in positions you didn't even know that you could do. So, when I started recruiting, I talked to my team and candidates, and now I can talk to hundreds of people at a time and not even flinch. So many different examples here. But Joining CX per year, it's 40, so cut that number in half, it's 20. I know, Melissa, you were shocked with the number when we talked about it last week, that we start out with about 400 applicants in one recruiting session. And then we slowly whittle that number down in halves. So we have candidates submit a video telling us about their technical background and why Cisco and what they're looking to do with their future. And then we're down to 200. And then we have an interview day and it's down to 100. And then the program starts and then people get into it and say, oh my gosh, this is really technical. And now we're down to 50. And it's just, you know, the program, you know, it's not for everybody, but the people that get in it, it's the reward at the end is phenomenal. So, and the reward I'm speaking of is the CCNA. So from the Cisco technical side of things, the CCNA is the Cisco Certified Network Admin. It is sort of a baseline, and don't let me undersell this because it's not for me. I don't know what they do. I don't know how they do it. It's amazing. But it is our sort of entry level kind of, if you're getting into the technical world, the CCNA is where you would start. This program that we run, it goes for 20 weeks. It's unpaid, but we're going to give you all of the materials that you need to obtain your CCNA. And at the end of that 20 weeks, since 2017, everybody that has completed the program and gotten their CCNA, we have extended a job to, and every one of them has accepted. So, of course, you know, you wonder, oh my gosh, you got 400 people, how many positions do you get? We've got it down pretty good now since 2017. We've never been in a situation where too many people have made it, but, you know, for the veterans program, the only requirement we have is that you need to either be transitioning or formally be in the military. There's no fine print. There's no other secret stuff to it. If you were a veteran at any point in time, whether it was 5 years ago, 5 months ago, 5 days ago, or 50 years ago, you are eligible for this program. And I can tell you we've had all ages come through it before. Young, old, in between, doesn't matter. Some folks that you would think could, really, they did it? Yes, they did. It's quite amazing, and it's very rewarding to see that there are no limits to it. So VTIP and XTIP, this is where we always have some confusion. So XTIP actually stands for experience. So for that program, think about somebody that may be a military person's spouse. Again, for the VTIP veterans program, you have to be a veteran. There are no ifs, ands, or buts. There are no exceptions. You must be a veteran. So a lot of times they come in twos. You might have a military spouse. You may have a child. And a lot of times, you know, for veterans, that benefit kind of helps the whole family. In this case, it does not. So we came up with another program called XTIP, and you might be wondering where that comes from. It's experience. It's experience talent incubation program. So stay-at-home moms, a teacher that is just not feeling it anymore, somebody that just wants to do a complete career change. The big fine print for this one is you cannot be within 2 years of graduating school. Why is that? Well, if you're within 2 years of graduating school, we have a whole bunch of other programs at Cisco, and you go through them, not through me. That you would go through our university recruiting team. That's going to be the team that handles people that just recently graduated, especially if you graduated with some sort of a degree that's technical. We have options. There are definitely ways to come in. I'm not familiar with them, but I know we have them. For me, and in this program, it's going to be for somebody that it's not just a foot in the door, right? It's somebody that that's looking to make a complete career change, and we've seen it from. I use the teachers one because that one's come up quite a bit, but spouses, even people that may even sort of be in a semi-technical role, but they're looking to kind of change it up and really dive into something super technical. So that's my two programs, and what they do is twice a year we go through and we do the whole recruiting process, and the programs kind of overlap each other. We call them cohorts, and that's that one. University relations, they do their own thing, and then we have the student programs on the bottom, the co-ops as well. Again, not super familiar with those. That my partner that is on the UR side, she handles a lot of that stuff, but the programs sort of overlap because if we hire somebody that's early in grade, what happens is the first thing you do is go through our CX Academy, And the VTIP folks, the XTIP folks, they're all in there with like recent grads. Because again, you're new to Cisco, you're early in career, everything kind of flows as far as coming in. We're not just going to throw you right in. We're going to make sure you're trained and everything. So that's why these programs sort of overlap, but the way that you get into them is all very unique. Participant profile, veterans transitioning military. Again, I can't drill home enough on that one. For our program, that's the only, people ask fine print, there isn't any. You just need to be a veteran or transitioning military. Workforce reentry, military spouses, that's going to be your XTIP. What do they bring to the table? My favorite example I used last week, technical background desired, not required. Listen, if you come home and your Wi-Fi is not working and your first instinct is to pick up the phone and call Spectrum, Time Warner, and tell them that your internet's not working, that's probably not going to classify you as a technical background, right? We're looking for somebody as simple as I'm going to go turn it off and back on again. Just somebody that not necessarily thinks outside the box, right? Again, we're going to train you. You don't have to be super technical, but we've heard so many stories from, did you really like playing with things as a kid and taking things completely apart and then putting them back together again? That's sort of technical. That's kind of the folks we're looking for. And the stuff that we can't train you on. Do you really want to learn more? Do you feel like, you've mastered your computer, but you'd like to kind of take it to the next level? That's what we're looking for. Multitask, self-start, work in a fast-paced environment. That's all stuff that any technical place is going to say. The other big piece for us is the commitment of 25 hours a week of self-study. That is the number that the people before me have come up with. And what I've learned is it depends on your technical level. That's 5 months of 25 hours a week of self-study. So if you've got a lot going on and you've got the family and the career and everything going on, imagine adding 25 hours of you in a room, in a book, on a computer, learning this stuff. That is what it takes to get your CCNA and get into this program. The difference is if you're really super driven but not technical at all, you can make that more like 30 hours. If you're kind of technical and know what you're doing, you may be able to get away with 20 hours. But the commitment that you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And we tell people, the family gatherings, the parties, the free every weekend, that's not going to happen for 5 months. You're going to have to be dedicated and you're really going to have to focus to make your milestones and get to the next step. It's not just 5 months and we check in with you on the 4.5 month mark. We have checkpoints every other week and we stay on top of that. And that's how that number of 400 goes down. We're almost there, folks, almost there. So what do we offer you? This is the big piece that folks ask, like, how on earth am I going to go from not quite calling the cable company to reset my stuff, but you're going to teach me how to be a network engineer? Mentoring from experienced Cisco certified engineers. It's probably going to be somebody that's been through this program. If we've learned anything about military folks, they love to help and they love helping other people that are literally walking the same path that they did to get into that position. So we are going to partner you with somebody. You're going to have their cell phone number, their email address. You're going to have basically everything but their home address. And you're going to have somebody that you can talk to real time and be able to ask questions. Live tech talks, that's Cisco for we're going to host a WebEx and we're going to teach you some things, show you some shortcuts. We get you enrolled in Cisco's Net Academy, DevNet Associate Fundamentals course, an O'Reilly online subscription. These are all just more tips, tricks, tools, and books and subscriptions of things that cost us money. We pay for it. We don't get a discount on it because we're Cisco. It's our investment that we do to make sure that you learn everything the same way that everybody does. And that's our investment. When people, I know one of the questions is well, what's in it for you? Or, what's the cost? Well, we do put some money out. It ends up being roughly, I think the number they're using now is about $1,500 per person is what the investment is once you're accepted into the program. Not for the initial 400, but we usually take about 50 into the program as it whittles down, and it's about $1,500 a person. The bosun practice exams, we pay for 2 of those. We give you 2 opportunities to get your CCNA. We've had some folks that were just this close. They ended up paying for it the 3rd time and they got it. But we will pay for the first 2. Pearson VUE exam vouchers, same thing. The testing is not done, online just to where it's something that anybody can do. You go to a separate facility and you take that test. Peer networking space and a Battle Buddy accountability partner. We're going to partner you up with somebody that is also going through this. And I can tell you, we had people going and meeting up on Saturday mornings at Barnes & Noble and doing study sessions. And, I'm a big sports guy, so I think of it from the team mentality. And again, sort of some military stuff too, right? Everybody, they're going to everybody's going to pull their own weight. And there's going to be some stuff and times where people are going to help you as well. And again, what you put in it is what you're going to get out of it. And the folks that go and do stuff as groups, the outcome is amazing. Biweekly check-in calls, that'll be from my peer, Jessica. She's actually the PM that runs this thing. I'm just the recruiter, but she's the one that she gets to do all the check-ins. Every other week, she'll have a 30-minute call set up with you and make sure that you're hitting your milestones and things are going well. Job shadowing at our TP campus. We actually bring you in, we get you a temporary badge, and you're going to come in and sit next to a network consulting engineer who's doing the job that you'll be doing in about 7 or 8 months. And soft skills and corporate culture training, my favorite part of the program. We've had people that came from, being deployed overseas and not being super technical and just being super military. We're now asking you to take a customer-facing position in a technical role. There's some things we need to go over. There's some things we need to train you. There's some soft skills that, maybe with your time in the military, you that have kind of fallen or you've forgotten about, but we make it fun. We definitely incorporate our culture into it, which is second to none. And that's definitely my favorite day of the whole thing. Everybody kind of comes around, you look around and you see old, young, people from all walks of life, and you go, oh man, we're all here doing the same thing. Because at the end, it's the same pay, it's the same job, it's consistent across the board. These are your folks that you're going to end up starting your new career with. So the buy-in and the bond is awesome to see. Real quick, recruiter interview accept, that first box there, that's sort of my world. That's what I do. We're out looking for folks. We're out submitting videos. We're doing our recruiting thing, and we're just trying to fill this bucket with as many candidates as we can. Again, from the VTIP, CTIP side of things, there's not a whole lot of prerequisites. So for us, it's all about numbers and contact and just getting as many opportunities as many people as we can in. And then from there, again, they submit the video, they talk about themselves. There's interviews, interview days. So there's things that we do kind of behind the scenes to try and pull out the best of that bucket. But once the program actually starts, that's the track one for the technical side. You have your orientation day. That's where we kind of set out where your milestones are, and they're down to the day. We have this down to, by this date, you're going to be this far along. And again, there's some wiggle room in there, not a lot. You're going to do the labs, tech talks, one-on-one calls, all that. And then you're going to have a networking assessment. We're going to kind of see where we're at with things and where we need to course correct. We're going to go back through it again. Then we're going to do soft skills day. Then there's practice test. Then next thing you know, you're going and getting your CCNA, and then there's job shadow day. And everybody thinks, hey, that's great. And it is. It's a huge celebration. The next step for you after this is you're going to get a job offer from Cisco. But the best way I like to explain it to folks is imagine going and getting your pilot's license and then going to work for an airline. They're not letting you fly across the country with a plane full of strangers. They're going to need to train you some more. They're going to need to make sure you're as knowledgeable as you can. That's where the CX Academy comes in. And that's when you go and we have you learn more. There's going to be more certifications. There's going to be more milestones. There's going to be more observation, more training. And at that point, once you've completed that, you can then get deployed to your teams and you start doing the job that you were shadowing 6 months ago. So it's not like we just throw you in the fire again, where 89% of these folks are still in. Those 89% started in that bucket on the far left. So it is a successful program. And down on the bottom, the track 2, that's our program management one. They're just now starting to play with that. I haven't gotten to yet because it's been so small. The big buy-in for this is that we're at the very right where you see Cisco. It's all about the number of openings. We need to have the commitment and buy-in from our team to make sure that there's openings, because we're not going to go and train and get you the best 20 out of that bucket if we don't have somewhere to hire you to. So the program management one is kind of our next step. So we'll be working on that one next. All right, just about done. I think there's one more slide. Maybe not. Growth opportunities, just real quick. The PM track, that's in process. For us, it's just about getting our internal folks to get their buy-in. Our veteran opportunity roadmap, we're working on that every day. I'm actually on a stretch assignment working on that. How can we get more exposure to more veterans? How can we grow this program outside of RTP? How can we start getting this at other Cisco offices? And that's our big expansion point we're looking for. Is we're starting to dabble in Richardson, Texas. Next up for us, we're looking to get to Mexico City with a similar program. So,
thank you, Chris. That was a very brief, I know, a description on all those programs, both for you and Monica. But just from what you guys have shared with our audience, we have questions that have been rolling in. So I will start here at the top and try to make my way down as quickly as possible. So we have a question, and is there a cost associated with these courses?
All right. If you're talking about the courses at NetACAD, I have tried to answer, by the way, all the questions that were made regarding NetACAD. So as I said here, so the courses themselves have no cost, okay? But at some point, depending on the course you want to do through any of the academies, there may be a cost associated. Why? And the reason why is that 4 of our courses have hands-on activities in laboratories. So that means that perhaps that academy needed to purchase equipment for the lab, and that has a cost, although we're giving very, very high discounts for academies under NetACAD. And then there are another 2 costs, which is the instructor training and the support given by any of our partners. So depending on the partner, depending on the equipment regarding the course, that there may be a cost associated.
What about for you, Chris? Is there a cost, a fee for these courses? I know you explained that it's not paid, but is there a cost?
Absolutely no cost. We take care of everything from start to finish. Again, only if you fail the exam twice, then you have to come out of pocket for that one. So my advice is study a little harder. Make sure you get it on one of the 2 times on our dime. But no, we make sure that we drill that home, that there's no upfront cost, there's no fine print. We want to make sure that everybody has an equal opportunity to get through this program.
Thank you, Chris. Now, do either programs have any scholarships available through Cisco?
In my case, yes, depending on, again, the state, the academy involved. Sometimes we create scholarships with funds coming from different entities and put all together to create a specific program. What we do have is grants that mostly are allocated to instructors training, because then ultimately they benefit the students when they open the class. So we create professional development on instructors that will benefit their students at the end of the day.
And I guess for you, Chris, because there's some costs associated, there aren't any scholarships through Cisco for the BTIP.
No, not for any of the CTIP programs. That one, again, veterans for XTIP, as long as you're not 2 years removed from school. And I think the other big thing that I probably should have mentioned for those specific programs right now, you need to be local to RTP, or by the time the job offer comes, you're going to need to be here. We have the options in Richardson, but right now, all of our positions are going to be in our tax center here in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Thank you, Chris. Now we do have another question. For those potential candidates who are older or more seasoned, what CTIP courses are best to enroll in?
So for CTIP, it's going to be the same, and age doesn't matter. The end result is going to be to get your CCNA. And the big goal at the end of obtaining that is going to be a grade 4 technical consulting engineer at Cisco.
Thank you, Chris. And here we have another one. For you, Monica, the NetAcad, is there any other requirements that you can share with our audience for those courses? And if they finish the courses, then what happens?
All right, so I can provide you, and you can place it, I think, in your website, along with the self-enrolled courses that you will provide in your website to everybody. So every course has their own, let's say, prerequisites. In some of the cases, there's none. I mean, you can go directly through any of those courses. In some others, you need some basics prior to get that course. So I can share that information with you. You can share it with all your audience here. That's going to be the easiest way. In any case, for the courses, the self-enrolled courses that I have provided you and that you're going to locate in your website, there's no prerequisites, so you can take any of those courses if you're 13 and over. So this answers Jacqueline's question, the last one in the chat, asking what is the youngest age. Nevertheless, I have provided you in the chat, and I just sent it to all the attendees, the link to one of our resources created by Cisco. That I have used that resource as an instructor to more than 200 students of 12 and 13 years old this summer, piloting as a summer camp, and it has worked out perfectly well, which is the Global Problem Solvers, the series. So I'm gonna just copy and paste it again in the chat for you all to gather that access to that resource, which is absolutely free again, and it has specific resources for teachers as well.
Thank you, Monica. We do have another question about both Chris and you, who to contact for the courses. I know that we're going to be putting up some of those courses on our SARE website, but for you, Chris, who do they contact if they're interested in the VTIP program or the XTIP program?
So I'll give you an email address. I'll ping it to you, and then you can post it up. We have a CTIP admin. It's just kind of one of those generic email addresses that hits multiple people in the program, so that way people can get back to you quickly. And from there, we have kind of a one-pager, we call it, that just has a brief overview of the program, and there's a link there that you can go in and fill out, that when we start recruiting again, you'll get notified that things are opening back up. Because I can understand as a recruiter at Cisco, the most common question I get is, how do I get anybody's attention? So for this program, December, January timeframe is when we start the recruiting. If you complete this form, tomorrow, what happens is once we start that process, a generic email goes out to everybody and says, hey, we're getting ready to start the process. Here's where you go formally apply to the role. And that way you're not left out, and make sure that we get your attention.
Chris, and I know you explained this earlier throughout the presentation, but if you can repeat for those that might have missed that, they want to know if this is specifically just for veterans.
VTIP is just for veterans. XTIP would be for anybody else looking to change careers, as long as they have not been enrolled in the university in the last 2 years. If you're 2 years removed from school, give me a call.
Thank you, Chris. And for both of you, we have a question here. Can you be a felon and be eligible for training?
No. I'll answer that. We use a third-party company for background checks, and any felony is going to automatically disqualify you from employment at Cisco.
In the case of Networking Academy, we do not do background check to students. So, I mean, if you are part of the students of any of our academies, you're part of their team of students, so you can go ahead and do any of the courses. As you have seen in my presentation at the very first slide, in some cases you can even be in prison or in jail while you're taking any of our courses, if that prison is providing you that tuition. So there's no problem with that.
Thank you to you both. Now this question is for you, Monica. How do you receive the scholarship for the Net Academy?
All right. In the case that you have any specific program in your institution and you need any to put in place any kind of scholarship with us, so the best you can do, and I'm going to leave my email address so you can grab it from there, and you can just get in touch with me and I will address you depending on the state in which you are based to my counterparts in those states, so you can start the conversation with the proper person.
Thank you, Monica. And I do have one more question for you both, not necessarily from our chat, but just for the audience in general. How does Cisco actually recruit? Do we have to be more proactive, looking on your website, looking at careers that are available? Do you guys offer career fairs to the general public?
In my case, I'm gonna put the link in the chat. There you are. So it's just part of you can basically go to netacad.com. You will see there at the very top in our homepage that there's a button saying careers. So you can see employment opportunities. In this case, yes, it is important to know that you have to be a student of NetAcad if you want to enjoy of this talent bridge matching engine that we have created 3 years ago. Let me tell you that in the last year, we have 20,000 of our students, of our more than 2.3 million students, they have reached a job opportunity throughout Talent Bridge. But you have to be a student. So that means that you have to be at some point in any of our academies. So in netacad.com, you can even find out which are the academies that are closer to where you are.
Thank you, Monica. Now, I do want to share with everyone, all our audience that's watching, that Sarah is actually partnering up with Cisco, and we will have Cisco Academies up and running later this year. We will have one in Fort Worth. We will have one in Milwaukee and more to come. So please visit our website. Within the week, we will have those Cisco courses up and running, but keep an eye on our website where we will be announcing our Cisco Academy locations. And now I will invite Raul back. Raul, are you there?
Yes, thank you. I'm here. Was checking the chat, and thank you for covering those questions and comments. Chris, Monica, great presentation. Thank you. I know that we will have probably more questions, and as we get them, we will channel the questions your way. And like Melissa said, we will be having those links to the courses. There's going to be a section for courses in English. There's going to be another section, courses in Spanish, that you can take. Those were the ones that Monica mentioned with the triangle next to it. You will be able to take those courses for free. That way you can find out if you are more technically inclined or not, or will be able to take up the challenge and the opportunity, the great resources that Cisco is providing basically for free to everyone. Thank you for participating. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank again the people at Cisco behind the scenes. We have Veronica, we have Liliana, and I want to thank again Monica and Chris for giving us your time, your knowledge, and providing the resources to our audience. Thank you everyone for joining us. We are going to be having another session on Wednesday, but this session is going to be on education. It's going to be about scholarships and about applying to college. That's on our education track. In a couple of weeks, we're going to have a session on writing your resume for the government. And later on, we're going to have another session also about your careers. And don't be surprised if you see Monica or Chris come back again one of these days. So great. Thank you for your presentation. And again, for everyone, thank you for joining us. and have a blessed day. Have a good one. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.